6D diesels. Right, today you'll see big clear workshop space, sunshine. It's come the time of the year where a man had to decide whether he's taking his hat off full time or not. So I think we're not going to curse it, nearing the end of hat and hoodie season. So I'm going to have to get some t-shirts with stuff written on them now, and anyway, I am sorting the merchandise thing. That's next. But I've agreed to do a favour for a friend of mine. So today's Will It Start is to get a car going that needs to be here to get it going. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump in a recovery truck now, and then we're going to whip off and go and pick it up. So today we find ourselves here, storage yard, Mini. So this is going to be today's Will It Start. I am obviously here to load said Mini. Now, I'll check the reg in a minute, but I reckon this thing has probably been off the road for the best part of about 10 years. And then there was a bit of a divorce and a separation halfway through, and then there was an argument over this bit. He said this bit that probably isn't even attached. How the hell did I get in there, man? There it is. So what this thing hasn't got is that bit. And you're all thinking, yeah, well, he's lost the plot, because how are you going to make that start if you haven't got the engine? Well, what I have got, and I'll show you that in a second. This was 1,000, I think, 998cc. I've got the original engine. There's some dismantled pile of bits chucked everywhere, half of it missing. So we decided that was a rubbish idea. What we have got is a supposedly good 998 that had been under a mate of mine's bench with a gearbox attached to it for 12 years. That he took out of his pickup truck because it smoked in the mornings on tick-over, valve stem seals. So we've done the valve stem seals, put a gasket on said thing, I'll show you it in a minute. And we're going to put that in that, and then get that to start. Cunning plan. Right, so after a load of pushing, shouting, shoving and swearing because the winch is still broke, got a new one, haven't got around to fitting it yet. We are ready to rock and roll. Let me explain what the cunning plan is. So this is a 998A+, with a load of new bits stacked around it, stacked over there. That came out of a mate of mine's pickup truck 12, 14 years ago, because the valve stem seals were rubbish, and it ran perfectly, but it used to smoke when you first started it up in the morning. Now we have obviously acquired this from under his bench, whipped it back here a couple of weeks ago, whips the head off, checked all the valve stem seals, and he was quite right. One of them was completely nosed, so we put a new set of valve stem seals in, done the valves, new head gasket, some new rubbers, bits and bobs, stuff that we had, thrown that on there. Obviously still have to set the valves and all that sort of stuff up, do that once she's doing the turning over stuff. And then we're going to put this in. We do have the original engine down there, I'll show you that in a second, which is a complete disaster. I mean, it is just a pile of spread out stuff, missing bolts, end caps, pretty much everything a man would need to make it into an engine. So in this melee of parts that we have here in this trolley, we obviously have a selection of manifolds, carburetors, fuel, oil filters over there, that fell out earlier. And we appear to have, which I reckon is right, I'm going to throw some of this stuff out. Oh, Haynes Comics, no one wants a Haynes comic, that can go. Obviously what we have to try and manage to do by the end of this is assemble ourselves a working motor. Now, judging by the fancy 3/4 block, hang on. Oh, what's this metal bonnet? I thought that was plastic. Oh, I'm going to get that over there. And obviously we have a fancy 3-into-1, 3-into-2, 3-into-1 Porsche exhaust manifoldy thing here. So one would assume that this chopped off carburetor, one of them thingies just did. Yes, chopped off, is the one that needs to go in here. So we need to get that thrown on here. And then we want something escaped then. It's a spring. Let's have that back. That's probably essential. Oh, Right. So the cunning plan is to drop this lot in from the top, wallop. The radiator's here somewhere, got to find that because I think that has to go here first with some mounts. And then I'm going to put that in there. And then make it work. Right. Here goes. Oh, I will show you now, I'll show you the other engine so you know where I was coming from with this one. So I'm toddle down through here. Right, that there, in that bag, with all this sort of stuff left around it. Just move that bit of transit connect. So there's a bit of engine and gearbox there. That was that was what I was delivered. Yeah, and then there was that supposedly a gearbox. I viewed that as a nightmare. I mean, in theory, that's the original engine number, but that's fine. You can keep that in the corner somewhere if they ever get worth that much money. Bruising engine bay. What we're going to need to do is to remove all this manky bent wiry shit that someone had put in here to hold the necessary stuff up so that I could move it. Now, things that are going to need to be attended to. Yeah, I would assume is the clutch slave cylinder. Ooh, yes, that's pretty solid. Worry about that later. That's engine earth. So we've got throttle cable, choke cable, obviously the Posh 3-branch exhaust manifold, a fuel line with a bolt stuck up it. We'll take that out just in case. Ooh, come on. Yeah, lovely, that can go with that. And then obviously we have the drive shaft ends down here. Now what we've got to try and figure out is if these drive shafts are compatible with the drive shafts that are on that. Because it's obviously going to be easier to flop it in here with the right drive shaft ends in it rather than have to change them afterwards. Right, I think we're going to have to go on some time lapsing and we'll get this engine dangling on an engine crane. Right, so what we have managed to ascertain that in the collection of parts are the original drive shaft couplers, which are actually the same as these drive shaft couplers, but these ones are sort of marked driver's side and passenger's side, and they are only a pop-out adventure. So to make sure that we, and as an escaping adventure, make sure that we've got like matched drive shafts and matched drive shaft ends, I'm going to work on putting the correct ones in it. I don't think that'll do it any harm, and hopefully it should just tap back in here like that. Perfect. Right, so what we need is the one that I've drop tested just there. It's the passenger side one according to the, yeah, that's right, 15 rubber gloves stuck over it. So yep, I'll just pop this one off of it, and then make sure that one's on there. So that basically means then that we've got the same, as good as we can, matching drive shaft couplers. So that allows us to put the drive shafts in. We've got new engine mounts, front and here, that's already done by someone. New Desi cap, that was us. So what I have got to do is obviously, I think it's going to be simpler to have the radiator hanging off the front of this, throw it in, rather than try to throw the radiator in afterwards. It's been a very long time since I've touched a mini engine. I reckon I was about 18. So we can but try. So if you're screaming at me going, you're an idiot, that's fine. It's been 25 years. 28 years. Right, back on time lapse, radiator stuff. And I have a feeling somehow I'm going to have to get the lower arms or whatever's down there out to get the wheels out further to get the drive shafts in. Be fine. we're at a point now where we've got radiator installed. A bit of trouble there because it's Chinese and it didn't really want to fit. New rad pipes on, found some Jubilee clips. Got the heat control valve bolted on, that was already on already. Plug leads are all over the place, we're not worrying about that for a minute. Starter, everything that I think needs to be on is on. As you will see, the drive shafts have sort of fell out, hubs and all that, so we've got a bit of room in there. So I think we're going to go for the ground, throwing that bit in there. It's coming flat. Right, engine is in, pesky engine mounts are hooked up. Still got to put the top woggly one in, but I'll have to find the bolt for that because that's not here. So what I'm going to attend to now, it's got to fit the clutch, slave cylinder, engine earths, general fuel pipes, wiring, stuff like that. And then I've got a carboner manifold to throw on. Distributor is on it, as you would have seen. So let's work out the firing order because it didn't look right to me a minute ago, and then try and hook up all this disaster of a wiring. It'll be fine. It won't take me 10 minutes. So anyway, I'm going to go and crack on with that. We'll put you back on the dreaded time lapse. So once I've got all this hooked up, we'll attempt possible starting, I suppose. See what happens. It's got two opes, Bob open, no open it. Right, onward. Right, clutch hooked up, fuel pump hooked up, heater doofer hooked up, minor wiring hooked up, got the alternator plugged in. Not quite sure what everything of this here side is, but we'll have to figure that once we've got a battery on it. So what I'm going to attempt to do now is get this exciting looking thing in here, which I have a feeling is going to be a right arse. And I haven't quite figured out how you do it yet, because you can't get it in from the bottom, and it currently doesn't want to go in from the top. Where there's a will, there's a way, and it splits halfway down. So, yes, idiot, let's take it apart halfway down. Knock that bit off. Once we've drunk my tea and eaten biscuits. And I reckon we can put it in 3 sections then. That might make my life a bit easier. Onward. Right, so mini based sit rat. How far, right, what we've done now, let me just swing this here. So as you'll see, we've attached the coil, found and fixed the necessary wiring. The old starter motor was one of those ones with a remote solenoid. The new one isn't, so we have adapted that temporarily to function. Carburetor's fitted, exhaust manifold's fitted, clutch slave cylinder assembly is there. We haven't tried that yet. Alternator is wired up. Wiring is roughly there. We have a temp sensor, an oil light, and a load of random shit floating around that I don't know what does. But it can't be difficult, complicated. It's a Mini. I have cleaned the points. I have, what else have I done? We have joints, gear linkage up, down there, fitted, obviously, the exhaust to the rear of the car. She is full of a coolant, so, and we appear to be coolant tight, as you can see. It does have some antifreeze in. I dunked that in first. The choke cable, well, she's foobarred and has left the building. That is nada. Do we need a new one of those? So we have invented this choke cable temporarily for the purposes of getting it going. As you'd have seen earlier, I spent ages faffing around with the old throttle cable to 20 minutes later find a new one. So we have a throttle cable, but sadly what we don't have is any of the hardware to join it to a carburetor. Gonna need to find that. But I've got oil. I have been down here. We have DC'd the filler cap. That took a bit of a while, and put some petrol in it. And then in here we have ignition lightage. We even have some winkerage. Blimey, look at that. We have winkerage and ignition lightage. I bet you we probably have turnage. We have turnage. So, some git had nicked the battery terminals because they've gone walkies. So what we've done is we've wedged a rubbish lorry battery in here because we never have anything but lorry batteries, banner rubbish, and used the jump pack to join the car to the leads where the terminals would have been before someone piked them. So what a man is beginning to believe, I will just demonstrate the turnage. Look at this, lots of turnage. Is that there is a possibility that once we've got some fuel, because what we don't know is whether that fuel pump that's been sat for 12 years down there pumps fuel, whether this carburetor, which we haven't really done anything to, works. If the leads are on the right way around, which we reckon they are, if it's going to go. So what I think we're going to do is I'm going to go and drink my coffee, and then I think we tip some sauce down its neck, crank the death out of it and see if it starts. And if that doesn't work, we'll have to do some more sort of checking based stuff. So we are to a point now where in theory, if fuel is applied, it may go. So what we've got is a pot full of petrol. I've put my cigarette out, health and safety based people that tell me off all the time. I've also got the variety of spray cap that chokes small children without a hole in it because the ones they put small holes in leak. And we're going to tip a bit of this down there safely like that because that'll help. Prop the rest of it somewhere where it won't fall over here. And then I'm going to lean in here and turn this and see if it makes any noise. I'm not terribly confident because I don't think the points are an awful lot good, but a man can only try. That sounds promising, doesn't it? What we need to do now is tip a shitload more petrol down its neck and probably open the throttle. Because there's a fair chance, I suppose what we could do, being professional, is pop the top off of the float chamber and see if there's any petrol coming into it, couldn't we? So obviously, after all these years in the motor trade, we could actually attempt doing something properly. If we haven't got any petrol coming in here, we can also pour fuel in here, sort of until we do get some possible fuelage in here, which might make it go. Right, put them somewhere where I ain't going to lose them. There. So let's see, have we got not her sausage, she is as dry. So let's tip a load of stuff in there. That'll do it, won't it? Lovely. So she's got some fuel because I have a feeling we may need a fuel pump. and see if we can get a tune out of it. Better put this back on here, I suppose. I mean, the fact that the fuel line, not my design, is running basically right behind the 3-branch manifold does worry me slightly, but we can attend to that at a later date. So in theory, we put these back on here, and we appear to definitely have sparks, which is good. So we've got sparkles. We technically have fuel now. Where is the... Oh, he's there. Can I wedge that in there? Just to give it a bit of stuff. Put me petrol over here again. Right. Second time lucky. We got too much choke. We've got something, haven't we? Gonna have a flat battery in a minute. Right, let's try it without vast amounts of choke and open it up a bit. I have a feeling that we may possibly have the firing order in the wrong way, because we got stuff shooting out of places we shouldn't have. Right, I'm going to go and check the firing order. I shall be back in a minute. We filled the carburetor back up with petrol again, because the pump definitely ain't pumping, and we checked the firing order anti-clockwise for a distributor on a Mini, and yeah, no, that was nowhere near. So I've done it 1342. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. I'm not going to go check the internet, but we're going to see what happens now. I shall lean in here. Oh, that sounded a bit more promising, didn't it? We have made some changes. Now, funnily enough, that short bit of running earlier on, I thought the fuel pump was dead. It's not, it's come alive. So it is now pumping a mix of orange nasty stuff from the tank. So we had a quick look at the carburetor, and that was the carburetor that came with the dead engine that's over there. But nice Bill, Cranbourne Chase cider, if anyone's going, look, really top man, go and have a look. Excellent fella. If you want top quality cider, he's your fella. But Bill, when he gave me this engine, or sold me this engine, told me the original carburetor with it. So I thought, right, let's forget the horrible carburetor that we know nothing about. The one from Bill, Bill said ran perfectly. So we've given it a bit of a sprucey, thrown that on, and also the firing order was completely wrong. The leads were all over the place. So we've got fuel in this carburetor, and I'm pretty sure that if I do this, it'll do that. So that's the first time this engine's ran in 12 years, apart from a minute ago. And it's the first time this car's had a running engine in it for about 10. That's not bad, is it? Now, it's going to need a bit of tuning. It's going to need some wiring, the clutch bleeding, the pin finding that links the gear collars, because it should have a roll pin through it, and well, God knows where that's gone. But if you want to see this thing running, well, you've seen it running. If you want to see it driving, whizzing around, we'll get it all tuned up. You're going to have to come back next Sunday, because I've had enough today. It's like 8:30. Man's going to get in trouble with the missus. But anyway, there you go. That's not bad for a Saturday's worth of work, including the customer stuff. So, will it run? Will it start? Yes, it will. There it is, ticking over. Come see me next Sunday. Like, tag, subscribe, follow, do all that sort of stuff as well. Thank you very much. Al 6D Diesels.